Jimmy and crew, thank you very much. I want to say thanks again to them. And I can definitely tell you they don't do it for the applause, but man, you guys blow the doors open. Hey, welcome to the box. Great to have you here, and thank you for taking the time to be with us on a Sunday night. I'm sure you're in a good mood after the Duck game, just out of curiosity. So we told him Mike will run fast, and he did, and all the other guys. And we're excited just about the opportunity to have you here for an evening where we can not only introduce you to the box, but also to one another. Out of curiosity, how many of you know Elliot and Katie? They met last week, got married on Wednesday. They're here tonight, newly married, right? Elliot and Katie, stand up for a moment. 2 weeks married, Elliot and Katie Janter. You know, they try to leave the box, they just can't. And so we're thankful to have you back, and that's commitment, man. How many of you are headed to school tomorrow for the very first time? Freshmen, very first time? Okay, you can do this. How many of you are graduated, and you're looking at these people going, you sorry folk? Raise your hands. Okay, there's a few of you out there. And those who are working full-time, by any chance? Anybody working right now? Smart people right there. That's what life's all about. And how many of the rest of you are going to school right now and you start tomorrow somewhere? You're not freshmen, you're sophomores. All the way up. Raise your hands. Okay, very good, very good. So we want to give you a little bit of encouragement tonight and just give you a chance to maybe get a different perspective headed into this week. There's lots of stuff that goes on here. I'm not going to even try to begin to keep up with it. I just encourage you to check Facebook, check the website, listen to Abby and the rest of the crew for all the opportunities that are coming your way. Tonight, I just want to tell you about our cul-de-sac. We live in a cul-de-sac, been there about 25 years, and it's a little cul-de-sac that's over by Autzen Stadium, so we can actually walk to Duck games, walk to campus, walk the river. It's convenient. It's in a part of town where there used to be a lot of kids that are all grown up now, except that we had some new kids move in next door. One whose name is Jack, who is now 2, and the other one's Katie, who just turned 5. So the other day, I walked out of my front door, headed to the mailbox, which if you picture a cul-de-sac, right, you know a cul-de-sac, and you go out and you have to take a left, it's a pretty significant jaunt to our mailbox. So I head out the front door, and I'm going to go to our mailbox in the street, take a left, and as I step out the door, I see Katie out there, and she is on our curb, and technically she's on her curb. And what she has is she has her jacket, and I see her little Holly, take me home jacket, whatever they wear these days. And she has her blanket, and she has a pillow, and she has a backpack. And I see her out there, and she kind of has the blanket slung over her shoulder and the pillow right here, and her backpack like this, and she's like this. Now, if you know Katie, Katie's never like that. Katie is wired at 220, like some of you in this room. So when you say, hi, Katie, she's like, ah, come on! And you hear her all over the world, right? And so I look over and I say, hey, Katie. And she's like this. And I can kind of look over a little bit, and I think she said, hi, Corey. And she's at the edge of the curb, so the street starts right here. Our driveway's right here. The other person's driveway's about there. So about 6 feet, she's right here on the edge. I look over, and Mom, Angela, is back against the wall, calmly leaning against it, looking at her daughter. And I'm thinking, if only I could be a fly on the wall right now. And I think I'm just going to go out the mailbox, and as I do, Katie doesn't move. She just stands there like this. Go out the mailbox, takes 3 or 4 minutes, come back, and she's still like this. And I look over, and Angela says, hi, Corey. I said, hey, Mom, how's it going? She goes, all right. And I could see her begin to approach Katie. The following day, I don't know what happens. I go up, back out again the mail, and this time Angela's out there, and she said, sorry, Corey, about the embarrassing moment. So I had daughters, no embarrassment or apology needed. What happened? And she said, well, our young daughter decided that she'd had enough. And for some reason, she was ready to leave the house. So I suppose in Katie's mind, what I saw in a backpack and a pillow and a blanket and the jacket was everything of significance to her. And she was going to take that, which was significant, and leave, she told her mom, forever. And Mom said, well, that's a long time. But she wanted to see if Katie would leave forever past the curb where she couldn't go or up to the curb where she could go. And sure enough, as Katie was leaving, she stopped at that curb and stayed right here and wouldn't go on the street. So caught between where she wanted to go but couldn't go and didn't want to go back where she came from, Katie had all the stuff she needed. And I said, well, how did you survive that? Because you look so calm out there. You didn't panic. You didn't do anything. She just smiled and gently walked over to Katie. And she said, you know, what I did is I just said, Katie, listen, is that really what you want to do? And Katie said, man. And she said, listen, you could go off by yourself if you want to do that. Or why don't you come back with the family and we'll have pizza together? And I said, and Katie did what? She said, pizza? I'm in. And it was all better. And you know, I realized at that moment that maybe we're onto something, that maybe pizza can solve everything, right? You ever thought about that? What if it really was about pizza? I mean, what if, you know, some of the guys in this room are trying to figure out their girlfriends, and she's there going, oh, I just don't know what's going on. I just don't know what's going on. And you go, hey, you want a slice of pizza? Really? Pizza? What if it was that easy, guys? You'd be going, this is so great. What if the professor, you know, was just jumping all over you? You say you're not living up to your potential. He's all over your case. You say, hey, dude, how about let's go get some pizza? Really, pizza? You know what? You're the best student ever. How about an A instead of an F in this class? So what if it was about pizza? You know, seriously, can you imagine, especially when you think about problems and stresses you guys face, if pizza was really the answer? I mean, that'd be so great. I mean, think about it. You're one of the most stressed generations of all times. Your age range today faces some of the greatest stresses of any age range out there. What if it was just about pizza? What if you were facing right now all the things in your heart that you're just dying over the fact you're having to leave home and you're leaving family and friends, and some of you are here going tonight going, oh, if I could only see my family again. And you're not showing on the outside, but when you go home tonight, you'll show it. And we can just say, you know what? Do you want some pizza? And you go, I feel better. You know, I feel at home, right? What if all the massive changes that you were going through were just solved by a slice of pizza? You know, all the things that you're going to face in the next days ahead and years between 18 and 25 especially that blow people away. You know, 1/3 of you are going to change a residence every year. You're going to find that 40% of you are going to move back home at least once in your college age years. And you're going, that is stressful enough to think about. You're going to have 7 jobs in your 20s, average. You're going to have so many roommates, only God can keep count of them, right? I had 15 in 6 years. 15. And I tell you, about 7 of those drove me nuts. And probably all 15 I drove nuts. 67% of college-age people are going to live romantically with a partner, or at least experiment at least once in their college years. Talk about stress. Talk about pressure. What if pizza could just solve it all? You know, what if somehow it could slip in there and answer the question of how some of you feel tonight of saying, you know, am I still a teenager? I mean, I kind of feel like it because I'm still in school, or am I really an adult? But they don't treat me like an adult. I'm not working yet. Am I really independent of my parents? Not really, because I like the money that's coming from my parents. And you go back and forth, and you find yourself in between in this wandering zone. You know, what if we could just say, hey, man, here's some pizza. It's all solved. We'd be rich unless we ran out of pizza. You know, no wonder for some of you, you struggle so much with depression, and you struggle so much with all kinds of different psychotic illnesses in your college-age years. It's huge. We like to gloss over it, but it really is a truism. The college-age years are some of the most stressful. And it shouldn't surprise us even when suicide goes on the rise during those years. The pressure's on. It'd be so great if we just had one simple remedy to solve it all. Like pizza. Really good pizza. But we don't. No, we try, don't we? We try to do that, and we try to fill things, put things in the blank that fill up that answer zone and say, hey, instead of pizza, it is, and you fill it in. For some, it's just experimenting with all kinds of things they've never tried before. For others, it's trying out people they've never tried out before. For others, it just goes on and on. And I want to let you know, as you come here to CCF, and we invite you to come back and make this your home, ever often you want to. This is your place. This is a place that we hope will be a refuge for you, an encouragement for you, and something that will remind you that there's a world out there that needs you, and certainly needs Jesus. But that if you come to this place, that we aren't going to blow smoke at you, and we're not going to pretend that somehow we have this magical answer that's going to cure your problems. Because you know what? Sometimes the pizza is Jesus. You ever hear that before? You know, you get the idea that someone says, hey, you know, if you just get Jesus, it's going to be better. Hey, man, if you just get Jesus, you're going to feel better. Hey, if you just get Jesus, it's all going to work out better. And we wonder why there's so many disillusioned people today. We wonder why there's so many people that say, I tried this Jesus crap. I'm out of here. Because we fed them a lie. He doesn't do that. You know how I know? Because when you just take a few minutes to look at some of his words, you can pick off what he says and doesn't say about how he addresses the stress in our life. And this evening, I just wanted for a little bit to do that with you before I think we head to some pretty good refreshments back there, some opportunities to relieve stress just with one another. But let me take you to a passage that I love that's going to introduce a series that I want us to journey in for the next few weeks called Just Jesus. It's a journey that I can tell you if you take, it might rock your world. Even if you think you know about Jesus, it might be the Jesus you never knew. And if you don't know about him, you might realize that's the one I want to know. And tonight I just want to take one passage from a little book called Matthew. It's a book that talks about the life of Jesus and gives an account of him from a Jewish perspective. And in this particular part of the book, it's interesting. There's a bunch of people who have had hard hearts. Anything related to God, they just don't want anything to do with it. You know, no matter what you do, we realize that there's always going to be hard hearts out there. I had one for years, and only God's going to soften that up. But on the other hand, there's people out there who say, I want to figure this out. And in this case, they're following at a distance. And as they're following at a distance, they're trying to figure out, is Jesus worth following? Is he really safe? Is he someone that maybe I can get something out of? All kinds of motives. And at a certain point, he addresses the crowd. And whether he looks at individuals' eyes or just looks at all of them, he says, I want to close the gap a little bit on this distance. And he begins with a little statement that simply says, come to me. What a weird thing to say. You know, I remember the first time I read the Bible years ago, there were a bunch of statements I thought, that is so crazy. That sounds so weird. I was really into a girl chasing around high school, you know, and thought, hey, if I can kind of look like I'm becoming a Christian, maybe I'll get closer to her. And at a certain point, I thought, well, man, I read this Bible thing, and I'd read phrases that are going, this is so weird. It was like coming to a place like this. For me, it would have been absolutely the weirdest place on the planet. The only thing that would have made it normal would be people like you. And then there's some weird people in here I know that would have made it even weirder, right? Friends of mine. But people singing up front and singing at me, I'd never seen that before. I wasn't raised in that environment. And having my peers around me raise their hands and sing to Jesus, I'd be going, what kind of screwball place is this? And that's exactly how I felt the first time I ever came to a place like this. And I remember sitting there and going, okay, this is crazy. And reading parts of the Bible, telling none of my friends, but I was interested enough to search in there and going, what is this? And I come across a phrase like this, come to me, and I'm going, that doesn't make sense. You know, if he put some other like parameters on it, if he would have said like, come to my organization, I'd be going, okay, I get that. I've been invited to that before. I have some Amway friends. Come to my organization. No, we'll make you rich, right? I have friends who invite me to meetings and workshops and programs. I get that. I might not come, but I know what they are. He could have said, come to my creeds, my rituals, my traditions. And I would have went, well, I'm not into that, but thanks. I get that, though. He could have said, come to my miracles. And we go, that'd be cool. See, do something special for me, Take my friend over here and, turn him into a donkey. Whatever that is, and come to my philosophy. I'd be going, okay, I've been there before. He could have said something like, come to my path of enlightenment or my way of wisdom. That's what most major faith systems do. When I was searching to try to figure out who is Jesus and looking at the faith systems, they'd invite me in to look at, here's the pathway to enlightenment. I'm going, okay, I get that. Do I want to take it? No, I don't think so. He could have even said, come to my religion. And I would have gone, no, I don't think so. Thanks for the offer, though. But he said, come to me. Do you get that? That is like crazy. That sounds so weird when you start thinking about that, until I remember just about a week ago going, I don't know if it is so weird. I have 2 daughters, and my wife's back there, so we have 2 daughters. And one is in graduate school, one is in college, and they were both little at one time. And they were both learning how to walk, and I remember when those times came and they were learning how to walk, the things that we would do that put our reputations on the line. Like, I remember when Janine was first walking, and both Gene and I were like, come on, come to Daddy. And then Mom would go, no, come to Mommy. No, come to Daddy. Well, it screwed up our daughter for life, right? And then finally it came out, no, come to me. Sound familiar? And you start going, well, wait a minute. That isn't maybe so weird in that context. And he starts out with, he says, come to me. Whatever you do, just come to me. And then it goes on, and you say, well, who's to come? And he says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened. It's interesting. College-age people are some of the most fun people on the planet. I think for Jeannie and I, that's why we continue to do this. You keep us young, and that's why Bud is here and Smitty's here. They're all 150 years old, and they look like they're 20, right? And you keep us young. We don't want to grow old. And you're energetic, and you're passionate, and you've got all kinds of things you're going after, and there's an idealism that says we can accomplish that, and we love that, because a lot of times you do. And we're going, we didn't think that was possible. And you said it was. But we also are smart enough to know that the college-age years aren't only that. There's a lot of stress and a lot of weights that come with that. I asked our leadership team at a training retreat we had this past, or about a week ago, what are some words to describe college-age people? And they gave some that were great. Hopeful, optimistic, potential, poor was another one. And they gave a bunch, but they also gave words like jaded, oppressed, stressed out, pressured, squeezed, hurting, confused, adrift. Sound like that weary and burdened part that Jesus is talking about? And they gave those words, uncertain, insecure, with just a matter-of-fact voice on a piece of paper, yet saying, this is true. What do we do about that? And you have Jesus saying, come to me, all of you, including every college-age person who is in that state, come. And it doesn't matter where you've been. He doesn't qualify that. It doesn't matter what you've done. And some of you have logged some long, long hours that have created some huge baggage that you've put on your back and you're carrying that no one knows except for you and maybe some other people involved, that select few, and you're going, I don't know about this. He doesn't even qualify that. It doesn't matter if you've come to him before. It doesn't matter how long you've been away from him. And it doesn't matter if you've never come. He just says, come to me, all of you who are weary, burdened, stressed out, confused, failing, troubled, adrift, jaded, and you fill in the rest. Just come as you are. And that's why this place is so special. We don't ever want you to have to pretend to come here, because I don't want to have to pretend to come here. I just want you to be able to come as you are. But more than that, to point you to the one who just says, come to me as you are. And somehow he takes that and he works with that. And you don't have to try to clean up your act first. You don't have to try to make things a little bit better. A while back, I had a suicide call. Fell into it. It was actually with a friend who got the call, and he said, will you help me? I said, absolutely. We got to the house. I knew both the people, and the moment that we got there, I knew something was terribly wrong. It just had the smell that something was really, really bad. And I remember we knocked on the door, no one answered. We opened the door, and it was unlocked, and we saw the wife run back and forth, and I said, hey, hey, hey. And I called her by name and said, what's up? And she said, he's not good. And I said, what do you mean by not good? He's in the room. And he had tried to take his life and was nearly successful at that moment. And I said, have you called 911 yet? And she said, no. And I said, you haven't? She said, no. I just got to get the house a little bit more in order. Right? Because in her mind, people were coming over, and you have to have it presentable. And I said, what did he drink? Tell me what he drank. And she showed me the rat poison. And I said, let's call 911 together, and it's okay about your home. Let's go back and help your husband. You know, there's something within us that we say we have to get better, ourselves before we can really get better. And God says, it's okay not to be okay. That's okay. You just come to me as you are, and I'll take it from there. You don't have to pretend. And I love that about Jesus. And then he says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Man, you remember when you were a kid, you hated taking a nap? For a lot of you, like, a nap, I want to go. And you just go, want to play the whole day. Now, I guarantee you, by the end of this week, you're going, let me just have some sleep, and you're just going to die. Some of you want to take a nap here tonight. We're going to put little cots back there and say, that's okay, you can rest a little bit. The older we get, the more we value rest. And Jesus knew that. Jesus said, listen, I want to give you rest. And he goes back to an Old Testament term. There's a lot packed into that word, but let me just tell you what he doesn't say with that word. He doesn't say, come so I can take away all your problems. That's not what's meant by rest. Again, we serve up the little pizza thing to people and say, hey, come to Jesus, he'll take away all your problems. Like, no, that's not what he says in this word rest or anywhere in Scripture. He doesn't say, come so I can make you really happy. So you be happy all the time, and you can go, hey, I'm that Christian who's like, hey, in your face. And the other day, I walked into a place, and this lady wanted to write all my account numbers for me on a little statement before I banked. He's like, hey, what's your name? Hey, can I do this for you? And she was like in my face that far, and I'm thinking, okay, either right now, she is one of the most outgoing people I've ever met, and I'm just going to have to put up with it, or she's a really creative thief, and she's going to take all my numbers and run out the door, right? But it was in your face, like, hey, this is a great day. Hey, what's your shirt mean? Hey, look at your shoes. Hey, it looks like you got, and I'm thinking, okay, now I'm going to slug her. Okay, no, John, you know what? It was one of those things that you just get this emotional thing going, and sometimes I think when people look at the church, they look at the world, and they look at Jesus, they get this picture that somehow that's what he's about. That's not all what he's about. That's the Americanized form of Jesus. That's not the Jesus of the Bible. Can he make you happy? Absolutely. Is that what he's about? No. He's about making us holy. He's not about making us comfortable. He's about making us more like Jesus. And there's a huge difference between happiness and joy. And that rest also is, he doesn't say, come so I can add to your burdens. So I can make your life even more oppressive and more weighty because I'm going to give you more expectations. That's not it at all. Here, let me ask you for a moment, just respond to me as much as you can from wherever you're sitting. What are the greatest needs of college-age people today? What are some of your greatest needs? Give me some of those needs. Shout them out real loud. Money. Okay, that's a given, okay? Money. Others. What's some of your most basic needs of a college-age person? Okay, one at a time. Yeah, food. We got that. Pizza. What's that? Friendship. Others.
Road bike.
A road bike. Others. What's that? Companionship. Sleep. Coffee. We like that. Back there's great coffee. Others. See.
Well-engineered roof.
A well-engineered roof.
Reliability.
Reliability. Support. Others. Greatest needs. Hot chocolate. I amen that one. Amen that one. Close.
Love.
Love. Liability. Shoulder to cry on.
Hugs.
Hugs.
Cheaper textbooks.
And cheaper textbooks.
Amen.
You know, you start thinking about the most basic needs, and let me see if I can identify some of those. You know, I need support. I need someone, man, who says, I care. You know, that's the whole thing of companionship, someone to partner with. All of you need that. That's why most of you came with a friend tonight. There's a few brave souls who come by themselves here, and I applaud you for that, and I hope you make lots of friends here. Most of us don't need someone. You know, and you realize when Jesus says, come to me, he says, I got your back. You know, for others, we just need stability. We need to know that there's some security and stability in life that we can build on this foundation, because everything we've tried to build on doesn't quite hold us. Ask your parents who invested all of their 401ks in the stock market how stable the economy is these days, let alone their homes and all that. Just pick anything you want in society that looked like it was a firm foundation, and let's take a closer look to see how firm it is. Jesus says, come to me, I'm stable. And then for others of us, we just need to know that there's a place where we can have self-expression, where what we have matters, and we're gifted enough to make a difference. And Jesus says, hey, got your back. You're my workmanship. I've created you. I know you. I know what you can do. And you matter. And we want to know that when we're moving forward, that somehow there is an opportunity out there that we can make a difference in the world. And he says, you can. There's a bigger picture in all this. But before you can do any of that, you need to find salvation in me. And I'm the one who gave up my life for yours. You see, when he talks about giving us rest, he's the ultimate place that we can find the strength and the courage. We can find the perspective. We can find the wisdom. We can find the big picture needed to go on in life in a way that actually brings meaning and takes a load off versus puts more uncertainty and more pressure on. And he says, come to me, all who are weary and burdened, so I can give you rest. Just come so I can do that for you. You know, and you start going, well, what's it going to take? Here's how the rest of the passage finishes. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Lots of people discuss what the yoke is, and some people they bring out all the ox kind of yokes and say you got to put it's custom fitted for you to carry. That's what he makes for you. Or you've got a yoke where there's the mature steer here and there's the immature one, and you kind of pull alongside. If you just step back a little bit in Jewish literature, the yoke was always the rabbi's teaching. It was always the things he taught and said, hey, here's the path of wisdom. Take this. And if you wanted a yoke analogy, you would put the yoke on the master, and then you'd have the rope behind you, and you just kind of follow along. And he'd say, just follow in my steps, eat my dust, keep going forward. And when he says, take my yoke upon me and learn from me, he's saying, listen, I'm worth following. For I'm gentle and humble in heart. I'm a tender-hearted person. I'm not someone who wants to weigh you down. I'm someone who wants to free you. And you'll find rest for your souls at the core of who you are. Because my yoke is easy and my burden is light. This year, we're going to journey in Jesus. We're going to take some different avenues as we move forward. But I'm going to let you know I'm going to come back to him every time. Because in the end, that's all I have to offer you. I'll give you my opinions, and we'll share with you all kinds of things about life. We'll laugh together. We'll have all kinds of fun together. But in the end, what's going to make a difference is just us saying, go to him. Because he has a way of taking us, even in our brokenness, and putting us back together again in ways that allow us to make a difference. And we sit there and go, I want to thank you all the more. He's the only one who can give us a yoke and actually free us. Go figure. But it's going to take something from you. It's going to take you reaching out to him. Because you ever wonder how he said it? Some of you know what I'm talking about. When you have parents' voices echo in your heads. I mean, I remember how my wife and I did it with our daughters. But I know other parents might do it differently with their kids. Maybe with that demanding tone that says, come here, or else. And the hands are behind the side, or at best at the side, and you're trembling with the same words that Jesus spoke because you have to come here, because now it's a demand or a command. But for others, you have this picture that when Jesus said it, it was this kind of thing saying, come here. Come to me. As though he's disappointed in you. As though somehow you've let him down, as though now he needs to correct it again. And others of you, you have this picture that somehow, that when he's saying, come here, he has nothing else to say other than, come on, fill a gap. Do you realize none of those are true? He's gentle, he's tender. When he said, come here, he did it with an arm outstretched. He did it with hands not here, not here, not here. He did it just like my neighbor did. When I watched her approach her daughter, and she walked up, Katie was like this, and I caught out of the corner of my eye a mom saying, come here, Katie, come here. And you realize that the hand of God is being offered to you at this very season. But you have to reach out and grab it, because gentleness and tenderness doesn't allow him to go, come here. Nor will he rub it in your face to manipulate, saying, oh, come here, you disappoint me. That is not who he is. He wants you to come here so he can rescue you, so he can free you, so he can relieve you, so he can refresh you, so he can do all kinds of things to you to let you become the person he wants you to become. And it's a crazy thing, that pride. A while back, 2 of our guys got stuck on the rocks at Eugene Head. One of those memorable days on our leadership retreats. When they got stuck up there, a guy came and told me, said, Corey, can I borrow your truck? Whenever they say that, I'm like, all right, what went wrong? And they said, hey, well, Walt and Ryan are stuck up on these rocks. I'm like, stuck up on rocks? And they had been washed up on the rocks because of riptides, and were now stuck under Eugene Head Lighthouse on this far shore, and basically having their lives about this far from death. And I said, you're not going to have my truck. Let's get up there. By the time I got up there, there was a full-blown rescue crew there. The long and the short of it is, not only did they attract all those people and media attention up and down the West Coast, I had to answer questions about them. I remember one of the rescue workers said, do you know those guys down there? And I said, do I have to answer that? And she said, you know them. I said, yeah. And, well, where are they from? I said, well, they're from our college leadership group. She said, leadership group? And I said, they're not too bright. And as they're down there, and everybody is up there beginning to panic in a very professional way, because the tide is coming in, the waves are getting worse. I notice there's 2 more guys down there. So it's our 2 guys and 2 more. So the 2 guys got washed up first, then Ryan and Walt followed. They kind of want to play follow the leader. And when they're on these rocks, now all of a sudden they're calling in the chopper to come and get them. So as they're coming in to pick up these guys, and they would end up rescuing them in the baskets, one would come up, and another one would come up, and another one, and then Walt, they strapped basically to the guy's chest and then let him spin around and float him out to sea, because I said he belongs out there. They brought them all back, and none of the guys were injured. When the full story was known, though, when I was up there, at one point I saw the other 2 guys try to jump. They're going to jump a channel. The gal next to me said, if they jump that channel, they will die. And I said, for sure? And she said, for sure, they'll be dead. Our guys are saying, don't do that. Come over here. Come to us. Come to us. And fortunately, those guys made a step and came to this rock. If it went across, it would have died. The second part of that story, though, I was told later, was when the basket came down, the 2 guys who were down there, who we never met, who left abruptly after all this was over, looked at Walt and Ryan and said, do we have to be rescued? Do we have to be rescued by these guys? And our guys looked at him and said, "Are you crazy? What are you talking about? You have to get in the basket." They said, "We're not sure if we want to do that." And at that point, you had a picture of the power of pride. Because had they stayed on that rock again, they would have died. See, in order to take the hand of Jesus, especially for someone like Katie right now on the edge of the curb, and you're caught in between, you might have to just turn around. And as you do, you don't have to do much. You don't even have to let go of this. He'll take care of that. Just reach out and grab his hand. He'll sort through all of your crap and give you back what you need with a whole new perspective, and you'll probably want to throw away stuff that doesn't matter. But you got to take his hand. And it's going to take you swallowing your pride. But I can tell you from experience, it's also worth it. I can tell you, I look back at my journey with Jesus, and it has not been easy. Life has not been always fun. I've not always been happy. But I never want to go back to what I was before. I want to keep going to what he has for me now. It's a freeing journey. And so over these next weeks, as we talk about just Jesus, I want to encourage you tonight to head home and just think about that little verse out of Matthew 11. Just come to me, he says. Come to me, just as you are, and let me give you rest. Next week, we'll talk a little bit more about what it means to follow him. I think you'll be surprised at what it means and what it doesn't mean. Let's pray. And Father, thank you for tonight. Thank you for Jesus and what he has done for us and the simple words he shared with those people on that day that means so much to us tonight, that means so much to me. And Father, for those of us who have already come to him, even today, to grab hold of his hand, help us not to let go. And even if we do, thank you that you never let go. And for others here, I just pray that they will come to find out who Jesus is and take hold of who he is and what he has to offer. And that you'll help them during this time of stress, confusion, uncertainty, insecurity, and all the things that lie ahead, and to free them to become the people they're created to be. In your Son's name, amen.